We are in King's Landing, where Brandon Stark watches from his balcony as the Grand Royal Army departs the capital, bound for the Reach. This army is composed of houses loyal to the crown: House Tully, House Arryn, House Baratheon, and several minor vassals of the Crownlands. Meanwhile, loyalist troops from House Blackwater, stationed in the Reach, were gathering in Highgarden, while House Martell's army had yet to mobilize. Lastly, the Lannisters' legions were marching toward the capital of the Six Kingdoms to defend it alongside the Goldcloaks in case of an attack or betrayal from their vassals. Tyrion Lannister, the Hand of the King, remained in the capital to oversee the administration of the realm and to prevent Brandon Stark from making rash decisions, like the public execution of Gunthor Hightower. The war had begun, and the first defeat was already a blow to the crown: the fall of Brightwater Keep and the extinction of House Florent. This event led the people to start questioning the Cripples' King rule and legitimacy. Moreover, that day Drogon was seen again, the beast that once burned the entire city and killed everyone who breathed, creating a spiral of fear that could trigger a mass exodus. In any case, Tyrion was prepared to face any threat to the realm, and with the arrival of Lannister troops, order and security were swiftly reestablished. We now turn to Brightwater Keep, where the banner of House Hightower waved proudly. But the advance of House Hightower and the rebellion would not stop there. Once Florent lands were conquered, the assault on Hornhill began, the seat of House Tarly. Though once a mighty house, the long wars had left only a few brave defenders. The siege was swift and easy. The Hightower troops entered without resistance and eliminated the defenders within the hour. The rebellion's roar consumed the famous stronghold. Soon after, the troops of House Redwyne and House Hewitt joined Lord Lytton Hightower, and together they marched to capture the heart of the Reach, the capital of House Blackwater, and once the seat of the now extinct House Tyrell, Highgarden. While the rebel armies closed in on the fortress, the Crown's forces were still far from the capital of the Reach. Only Bronn Blackwater and his troops were garrisoned within. Suddenly, disbelief struck Highgarden's walls. Bronn himself witnessed what seemed to seal the fortress' fate. Victarion Greyjoy had sailed his fleet up the Mander River to join the rebels and seize the center of the Reach. At first, Bronn felt relieved upon seeing the Greyjoy fleet, unaware of their betrayal. But relief turned to horror as Greyjoy's scorpions began firing flaming bolts at the Blackwater stronghold. On the horizon, the armies of Hightower, Redwyne and Hewitt advanced. Bronn saw his doom, and in cowardice fled the fortress with half his army towards Ashford. This desertion marked the loss of the Reach's most important settlement and shattered the confidence of the houses that had sworn loyalty to him and the crown. And so the Greyjoy troops landed, and Victarion Greyjoy ordered the siege of Highgarden. Ironborn hordes smashed the gates and massacred the defenders. From beasts came suffering, steel clashing, blood spilling, and screams echoing through the halls. Demoralized by their lord's betrayal and overwhelmed, the defenders fell one by one. Highgarden fell into rebel hands. At that moment, the rebel allies, led by Lord Lytton Hightower and Lord Paxter Redwine, entered the burning settlement. Before Victarion could order a sack of the city, Lord Lytton stopped him, arguing that such an act would push the Reach to remain loyal to the crown. With Bronn gone and Highgarden fallen, the local houses might join the rebels instead, so long as they were treated with dignity. Surprisingly, Victarion listened and agreed. Just as Lytton predicted, many rich houses, feeling betrayed by Bronn, abandoned their support for the crown. They demanded that King's Landing strip Bronn of his titles and choose a new lord from among the rich noble families. Otherwise, the entire Reach would join the rebellion. All those ravens arrived at King's Landing, and Brandon Stark began to see his kingdom spiral into chaos. While he and Tyrion debated what to do with Bronn, worse news came. The Goldclaws had spotted a large fleet approaching the capital. with Drogon flying overhead. That could only mean Aegon Targaryen had deceived them, and the city might soon be under siege. Tyrion proposed negotiations to avoid bloodshed, but Brandon chose to prepare for war. Lannister troops and Goldcloaks took their positions on the walls. Hours later, Daeron Harry's army landed, and Aegon, riding Drogon, struck fear into the defenders. Brandon came to the walls to speak to his cousin, his rival. Their eyes met. Brandon accused Aegon of lying and claimed that the obsession with power destroyed everyone, citing Daenerys Targaryen. Aegon replied that he didn't seek power, only to restore his dynasty and legacy. He never wanted the throne, but now he was the only one capable of bringing stability to Westeros. He asked Bran to abdicate peacefully to avoid another massacre, but Brandon refused, coldly and confidently declaring that victory would be his. In that moment, his eyes turned wide. He entered a trance, and Drogon's eyes turned wide as well. Suddenly, Drogon attacked Darius' troops with fire, incinerating them as Aegon watched in horror, unable to stop him. Brandon Stark was controlling Drogon with his powers as the three-eyed raven. Victory seemed his, and the last Targaryen would soon fall. But someone intervened. Someone who had once watched a friend die by dragonfire. That same friend had told him that Aegon was the rightful king Westeros needed. Out of nowhere, Tyrion drew a dagger and stabbed Brandon in the heart. The royal guard was too shocked to react. Instantly, Drogon ceased his attack and returned to normal. Brandon's white eyes faded and blood sipped from them. Tyrion pulled out the dagger and stepped back as the king's life slipped away. Podrick Payne, a royal guard, couldn't bring himself to stop Tyrion due to their bond. Brandon Stark's gaze softened, and the crippled king died. A new Kingslayer was born. Tyrion Lannister, Hand of the King, ordered the Lannister troops to open the gates for their new king. He had followed in his father Tywin's footsteps. Once Tywin had betrayed the Mud King to crown Robert Baratheon. Now Tyrion had betrayed King Brandon to place a Targaryen on the throne, Aegon Targaryen. With this act, Tyrion had prevented a massacre. Daeron Harry's army entered the capital peacefully, welcomed by Lannister forces. Aegon still struggled to grasp what had just occurred. All gathered in the Red Keep before the body of a king slain by his own hand. Some Goldcloaks still clashed with Lannister men in the streets. Aegon looked at his cousin's lifeless form in his throne. Tears welled in his eyes, not hatred, just sorrow and love. Tyrion approached and told Aegon he was sorry, but it had to be done. Then he took the crown from Brandon's body and placed it on Aegon's head. Raising his voice, "Long live the new king," Long live Aegon the Sixth of House Targaryen, King of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men, Lord of the Six Kingdoms, and Protector of the Realm. At that moment, Lannister soldiers and Darius' men raised their weapons and shouted the name of the new King of Westeros. Aegon, Aegon, Aegon.
Aegon! Aegon!